Today we're taking another look at the recent Marvel Secret Lair drop and suiting up as we dive into the high-tech value of Iron Man Titan of Innovation. Get ready to channel Tony Stark's ingenious utility as we sack non-creature artifacts to overwhelm our opponents with big value artifacts. Before we get into today's deck tech, our friend Ruben will be hosting a giveaway on Whatnot on the 10th of this month. Giveaway to win a Food and Fellowship pre-con as we try to get Common Command to reach 1,000 subs by the end of the year. And by using the link in the description to create a Whatnot account if you don't already have one, you will automatically receive a $15 credit to your account to then use on that stream. More information about the giveaway is down below. Iron Man is a 4/4 human hero with flying and haste. Whenever he attacks, you create a treasure token. Then you may sack a non-creature artifact and search your deck for an artifact card with 1 plus the CMC of the sacked artifact, to then put it into play. It's a sacrifice pod deck for artifacts that can get out of control quick. We decided to keep the deck more casual and focus on pulling out huge value artifacts while returning the ones we sacked to our field. But before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to Common Command as we are trying to reach 1,000 subs by the end of this year. Moving to cover our ramp package, it scales pretty evenly as we have some high CMC artifacts in this deck. We included the reliable cards of Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone, and Worn Power Stone. But we've also got Thran Dynamo, Gilded Lotus, and the Might and the Weak Stone for bigger ramp towards the middle of the game. The Might and the Weak Stone can also act as card draw or removal, which is huge for a ramp card. And since the deck is mostly artifacts, we also have some cost reducers in the form of Ethereum Sculptor, Foundry Inspector, Artificer class, and Semblance Anvil. With a couple of these out, we can completely negate the cost of some of our artifacts. But for some more explosive turns where we want to throw down as many artifacts as we can, we also have Mana Geyser and Karn Legacy Reforged for big springs of mana. But let's look to how we will refill our hands with the artifacts that we play. Joyra, Weatherlight Captain, and Vidalcan Archmage will replace every artifact we cast with a card draw. Sicarian Infiltrator will draw us a card when it enters and has the squad ability to make as many copies of it as we want as long as we pay that 2 extra mana. And since the Infiltrator has flying, we can draw cards when they hit our opponents with Thopter Spy Network. Clan Crafter gives our commander the ability to sack artifacts to draw a card when paying 2 mana, while Insight will draw us a card every time our opponents cast a green spell. And when we create a treasure with our commander from attacking, we can then draw a card with Idol of Oblivion by tapping it. Or simply discard 2 cards to draw 2 cards with Daretti Scrap Savant. Daretti also is Artifact Reanimator, which will be huge value for this deck. And last up, we have Big Score and Demand Answers for some one-off forms of card draw that are on theme for the deck. With our card draw spread out across different types, I think we should start looking at the artifacts we plan to sack and tutor out. The first artifacts we have are low CMC and will get the ball rolling into more higher value artifacts. Ichor Wellspring, Implement of Combustion, and Implement of Examination are great low cost artifacts that replace themselves when sacrificed. Esoteric Duplicator will stay around and make token copies of itself or any other artifact we sack as long as we pay that 2 mana. Commander's Plate is a fantastic 1-drop equipment to help protect our commander that we can get immediately upon attacking if we sack our treasure token that we create. And Ghost Vacuum is great sack fodder for the early game, while being huge value in the late game when there are creatures in graveyards to steal. Moving on to some of our higher CMC artifacts, we have Crystal Skull Spyglass. It is ramp that allows us to play historic spells from the top of our deck. Next we have Mirrorworks and Ugin's Nexus. Mirrorworks will let us double up on any of our troublesome artifacts by paying 2 mana when it enters, and the Nexus will give us an extra turn when it's sacked. But I think it's time to introduce our hidden hero, a card packed with insane value for Iron Man, and that card is Hexplate Wallbreaker. This equipment, when attached, will give us an extra combat when declaring an attack. We can then sack this artifact with Iron Man to get a big value 6-drop while still having that extra combat. In that extra combat, we can then sack the 6-drop for a 7-drop or one of our other artifacts for a different CMC artifact. It's a great card for sack fodder that doubles our combat, earning it this week's hidden hero. Moving to our 6 CMC artifacts, we have some beaters in Wormcoil Engine, Coveted Jewel, Chilmil the Inner Sun, and Planner Bridge. These are all value pack cards that will give us some immediate board presence. Moving to our 7-drops, we've included Spine of Saw and Mere Battlesphere. Sacking the spine specifically will allow us to continue a mini loop of destroying permanents since it returns itself to our hand. And for our highest CMC artifacts at the 8 mana mark, we have Darksteel Monolith and Platinum Empyrean. Being able to bypass the CMC of one of our colorless spells per turn is huge value, while protecting our life total with the Empyrean is enough to have these cards added. To round out this deck, let's take a look at the utility cards that will provide full-on support for our game plan. We have some recursion starting with Goblin Engineer and Goblin Welder. These red goblins will help bring artifacts back from our graveyard by sacking another one in return. However, Emery Lurker of the Loch will tap just to let us cast an artifact from our graveyard. Scrap Trawler will return an artifact with lower CMC whenever an artifact is put into our graveyard, and Scrap Mastery will return all artifacts from our graveyard while making us sack the ones we currently have out. And to go along with these recursion cards, we have some sack outlets with Clark Clan Ironworks and an Ashnod's Altar. These can provide some interesting lines of play to really get some chains going. Since we're in full throttle sack mode, Aetherworks Marvel will give us an energy in return for sacrificing artifacts. We can then use that energy to look at the top 6 cards of our deck and then cast one for free. Kodolth the Forge Master will let us sack 3 artifacts to go and tutor any artifact to the field. Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots are extra protection for our commander. Strionic Resonator and Lithiform Engine will let us copy any triggered effects from either our commander's attack trigger or any artifacts that have some powerful effects. Rain of Riches will let us use the treasures we create to then cast spells with them and cascade into more artifacts. And the last card we have to mention is the Accolade of the deck, one that will close out games and give us the victory. And today's Accolade is Cyber Drive Awakener. When it enters, it will turn all our non-creature artifacts into 4/4 creatures with flying, letting us swing out for one big turn and close out the game. And with that, the deck is complete. We've decided to keep Iron Man in a more casual build because comboing off is just too easy for this deck. If you enjoyed the video and would like to see a complete list including lands in our removal package, be sure to visit the deck list in the description below. And while you're down there, check out the whatnot information in the description so you can potentially win a free Food and Fellowship precon. If you want to see more Common Command content, like the video and subscribe for more EDH content.